What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com. I'm here with Bob Condotta with the Seattle Times. Bob, coming into Lambeau, the Seattle Seahawks obviously took a thrashing last time they were in town. What can we expect to see different from this Seahawks team?
The last two times, really. They lost by
Good
10
point.
points,
Yeah.
15, which was they have not had very many double-digit losses since 2012, but those are two of them, and no doubt the 38 to 10 loss last year, or I think it was 10. I've forgotten already, but that was the biggest loss they've had in basically in 5 years. So yeah, they will remember that. Well, one of the biggest differences is that in neither of those games did they have their full secondary. In 15, Cam Chancellor was holding out last year. Last year was right after Earl Thomas had just gotten hurt. They were playing Stephen Terrell at free safety. So that's one thing. The Legion of Boom has become what it has because of how good those guys are. And I think they would say neither of those games were they really at their full strength there. Russell Wilson played statistically basically the worst game of his career last year. The 5 interceptions is a career high. He's never had more than 3 interceptions in a game other than against the Packers. He had
Yeah.
the game and the NFC title game, and then last year, and a couple of the passes went off guys' hands. But they feel like Russell is in a much better state right now. Also, last year he was dealing with some injuries. He was sort of forced to become more of a pocket passer last year simply because he couldn't move around as much. I think they think they'll show you a little different Russell Wilson this time around with his ability to move.
Stepping back and looking at the team as a whole, a lot of pundits, a lot of predictions around the league looking at the Seahawks as a real Super Bowl contender. Obviously, that's only bolstered with the trade last week for Richardson along the defensive line. Do they look that way? I mean, you're with that team day in, day out. Do they have the look of a contender?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they still just have the same, 9 or 10 guys that have been the foundation of this team since about 2013, and all those guys, they're getting older, but I don't think they're too old yet, and I think they are some of the things that happened last year. Earl talked about, but Richard Sherman was dealing with a lot of stuff, and there was the trade rumors in the offseason. He seems fully on point right now because I think he understands he's just got to play this year out and wait and see what happens later. But it doesn't do him any good to not just come out and play really well. Michael Bennett had knee surgery at midseason last year. He looks totally back. Their running back situation should be better, and part of it Eddie Lacy. We'll see. Be really interesting to see how they use Eddie Lacy. We haven't you don't see much of running backs in the
Right.
preseason. I've seen a whole lot of Eddie and how they're going to use him and split up him and Thomas Rawls. But Rawls is healthy. Eddie appears to be good to go. And then the other real X factor for them is Jimmy Graham. At this time a year ago, Jimmy Graham was coming off the knee injury. He didn't do anything, practice or anything in the preseason, and just started playing week one. This year he's had a full off season. He's looked really good. So that's another thing they're really excited about is sort of being able to fully use him. And I think this year they feel like they'll be able to finally use him the way that they sort of envisioned when they got him 2 years ago.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for the time, Bob. We'll see you in Lambeau on Sunday.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Aaron.